Good evening, I am Tomas Guevara, and this is the channel Rewriting the Reality. Join us in our quest to rewrite our science's theories. In today's episode 108, I am going to touch, again, a controversial subject. The psychology. I have told you that our psychology is a belief system, inaccurate, and has given us disinformation. Today I will be expressing that I am not retracting my statement that psychology is also a belief system. Regarding it being compared with religious belief systems, I do not retract this either. Our psychological framework is based on observation of experiences. This is correct. Our interpretation of the psychological meaning attached to these experiences is incorrect. Many people are taking issue with the idea that religion is based on imagination, which is expressing as fantasy. I have said to you that although our religious focuses may be distorted, they are based on truths. They are based on truths incorporating imagination, which is reality. People think in the direction of stories, this being the basis for religion, therefore, making a distinction of psychology, that this is based on what we term to be facts of experiences and not being imaginary. First of all, I will express that if you are thinking in this direction, all psychological elements are not based on our physical facts. There is much of our psychology that we would term as being based on imagination. Hallucinations are not what we term physical facts. They are what we call imaginary. This is not to say that they are not reality. I am making a distinction of how we interpret them. Our religious belief systems, being based on truths, offer us some viable explanations for experiences and thought patterns. For centuries, individuals sought out religious leaders or authorities for counsel, just as we now seek out our psychologists. Essentially, we have made a new religion of psychology, only basing it more on sciences. Psychology has sprung from science, this being where people make a distinction, in believing that science and religion are opposite poles having nothing to do with each other. This also is incorrect. Their direction of focus deviates in some sciences, but in actuality, their questions are the same. Religion asks questions of the individual and its universe and its connection. Science asks the same questions. Psychology, being another branch of science, is dealing with the individual and its relation to itself and its world, not always incorporating as far as its universe but at least incorporating its environment. If people allow themselves to stop screaming and begin listening, these concepts are not difficult. This should not be causing conflict, as it is merely another belief system. I am sure they will not find this answer sufficient, but they may receive their justification as we follow along with these questions. Psychology incorporates just as much duplicity as religion. I explained duplicity in episode 11. Some people may say that psychology is not incorporating deceitfulness. That is one argument in regard to psychology incorporating just as much duplicity as religion. Some people have a problem with this word of duplicity. It is easy for us to accept that our religions incorporate duplicity. But we believe psychology to be an intricate science of the mind and search for truth regarding the individual and our psyche. I will express to you that psychology, from its birth, has incorporated duplicity. Our supposed father of the psychology, as we in physical focus term him and have given him this title, I am referring to Freud, has based this science on the duplicity of the individual. Our impulses are not to be trusted, as far as Freudian psychology is concerned. We will find that even to this date, almost 100 years beyond our beginning of Freudian psychology, it continues to be a major focus in the study of this science, and also, in our ordinary therapy, we are encountering most psychologists who are based on this type of psychology. They are looking for our influences from our past. They are not incorporating our religious belief systems, or our consciousness, or many of the concepts that Carl Jung put forth in later years. They are still incorporating Freudian psychology. If we were to be evaluated by an independent psychologist, I am quite sure we would all take issue with their findings of our psychological makeup, for each of us would not be shining through as a completely psychologically stable individual, for they do not believe there are completely psychologically stable individuals. They may incorporate slight references to abnormal tendencies. These are based on Freudian psychology. Carl Jung was a student of Sigmund Freud and incorporated his beliefs very much. Our Carl Jung has expanded on these beliefs and concepts but did not eliminate the original concepts. Some people are great fans of Carl Jung, but he does not incorporate the entire man, only what he wishes to incorporate, what you would term the good parts, and is throwing out the parts he does not agree with as invalid. We may, if you wish, do this with our religions, for in our belief systems, they are concepts. We may not incorporate half an individual. You can say that I am wrong, that psychology does incorporate a soul. But psychology does not incorporate the idea of a soul. It may incorporate the idea of a collective unconscious, but it does not incorporate, as a science, the concept of a soul or of anything that it deems to be attached to religious belief systems. Incorporating a soul would be a religious approach. Psychology is a science. They make quite a distinction of themselves as not being connected with religious belief systems, although they are just the same. Just as our scientists are also beginning to become aware. This is just a beginning, but as we are all approaching our shift in consciousness, more information is becoming available to all our sciences. They are becoming aware that their concepts and ideas were too small to incorporate reality. I am not expressing that every single psychologist in the entire world of this planet is oblivious to a wider awareness. This is why our phenomenon of what we term aliens is now being exposed, for the science of psychology is accepting this phenomenon and drawing attention to it. Just as with a religious belief system, there are some elements of psychology which are true and are aware. It is only its overall practiced mechanism which is inaccurate. In regard to children expressing their impulses unchecked, I recently saw a TV program about children that were so violent that at ages of even 4 and 5 they were uncontrollable, and doing horrible things like burning down houses, etc. Should these children be allowed to do just as they please? The key word in this question is involving impulses. These children are not expressing impulses. These children are expressing emotions, although this is an interesting incorporation. There are some times, as we have expressed before, when an essence chooses to remanifest and is not allowing itself adjustment within transitional periods. In this case, many expressions are exhibited when the individual remanifests again. Here let me clarify that I am not talking about reincarnation but to our option to form a new essence at the time of our physical death. In these cases of these small children who are expressing such violent tempers and expressions, they have been refocused in connection with the same essence as a parent, once again from a previous focus. We must understand that without the element of physical focus, time means nothing. Therefore, when I am saying that an essence is projecting without allowing time for adjustment and transition, these terms are for our understanding, for there is not actual time incorporated. The essence only projects that part of its consciousness back to physical focus without transitional exposure, in experiencing previously a distasteful relationship with the same individual, it exhibits these emotions as a small child, for they are still what we would term experiencing anger, and it is expressed in this manner in this small child. This receives attention from us, for we do not expect a small child to be exhibiting such behavior. Children, in our belief systems, are innocent, loving, wonderful little individuals. We are not incorporating that these small, loving, wonderful little individuals may have an essence which has been manifest in physical focus for what we term thousands of years. This essence may have many physical experiences, and as all is simultaneous anyway, the experiences are quite fresh. Small children possess the difference from adults only in being more connected with their essence, through lack of the individual focused development thus far. Therefore, it should not appear to be unusual or even unheard of that this individual at such a small age would exhibit this rage. As far as the question of, should we just allow these children to be running rampant? I will express first, impulses are not emotions. We are not allowing unchecked impulses. Emotions are another issue for themselves. I will also express that in not agreeing to participate in these violent expressions, these small individuals will not be receiving our payoff. It is quite pointless, even for a small individual of 3, to be expressing if it is not receiving anything. These small individuals have re-manifest with these other individuals knowing that they will respond, and that these little ones will receive their payoff. People are correct that there is more to this than only it is an experience, but it is an agreement. It is also not only an agreement, but we always have the choice to change probabilities. The adult individuals involved in these situations perpetuate these situations. They may go on a TV show and be saying, "I do not wish my child to be expressing in this manner, and please help me," but they are also allowing the payoff for the small one. I would dare say that if we were to ask them, these small ones were not exhibiting this behavior on television. They were receiving quite enough attention being in that focus, that they were not needing to be burning down houses. Here is an interesting question. If it is true that psychology encourages defects of society, then why do we require the involvement of psychologists with criminals in turning them around? This is quite an elementary question. People could have figured this question out for themselves. If we have created a situation we would wish to have not created, we would also not be wishing to take responsibility for this situation. So, our natural response in physical focus is to cover it up. What better way to cover up a situation than to express that we will fix it? Our psychology encourages the situation to begin with by blocking impulses. They are very willing for us to express emotions. They are not willing for us to express animal instincts. They do not take responsibility for creating this situation, for they do not acknowledge impulses. These are not within psychological framework. We should not be acting on impulses, anyway. That is what they think and point out. This brings us to my original point, which was, if you were following impulses from a small child, you would not be incorporating this behavior as an adult, but psychology encourages us to not follow the impulses. We are taught by society, we are taught by our parents, we are taught by our peers that our impulses are wrong. Even our religious elements express that our impulses are wrong. Therefore, our psychology is equally responsible for creating these defects in society, as we call them, and this is an example of duplicity. Our psychologists will express to us that we are wonderful, loving individuals, and that we are good, but they will also express not to follow our impulses, which are natural to us, for those are bad. Therefore, our basic nature is bad. If this does not constitute duplicity, I do not understand what it does. Now, in following people's recommendations, in regard to positive thinking and affirmations versus psychology telling us that we are twisted because of our experiences, that they aren't saying that we are twisted. They are saying that our experiences are twisted. But we forget that we have chosen our experiences. Therefore, we may not separate, and if we do not separate us from our experiences, that will bring us back to our duplicity which I have just expressed. This also brings me to restate my original statement of how we can be positively thinking and giving ourselves wonderful affirmations and believing them if we are also, at the same time, being told that we are basically not to be trusted. If our impulses are our base nature and are not trustworthy, this concept will always return and create conflict. Of course, we can say that psychology is not encouraging us to stay in a situation of abuse. They are just shifting the responsibility to the abuser. But once again, we continue with my last answer. Psychology is not shifting responsibility. It is denying responsibility. It is not holding us responsible, for it is not believing that we create our reality. It is encouraging us to be a victim, and why would it not? This creates its business. Here our psychologists will not be happy with this answer. They will fight back and say, psychologists do not encourage you to stay in an abusive situation. This is correct, but I will express that psychologists are also individual people, and they are obviously not stupid people. They are intelligent individuals. Why would they express to us to be continuing in an uncomfortable situation? We are coming to them expressly because we are uncomfortable and wishing to not be experiencing this situation any longer. This is ridiculous to think that they would encourage us to continue in the very thing that we are coming to eliminate. They also do not actually encourage us to take responsibility for this situation. We are the victims. We have not created the situation. We are only part of someone else's situation, an innocent party. We may be in the situation of being a victim, but we have equally created this situation. This, singularly, will be the idea that most individuals will find issue with, for in physical focus we do not wish to be responsible, only for positive action. When negative elements arise, we do not wish to be thought of as creating these, even in part. We will also see that our victims view themselves as nice people. Bad people are not victims. They are the perpetrators. Nice people do not create bad situations. Here is another area which our psychology perpetrates in encouraging a difference. They separate individuals by labeling some as good and some as disturbed. However, this is not how they perpetrate abusive situations. The psychologists do not perpetrate the situation. The individual perpetrates the situation. The psychologist encourages the lack of responsibility, which indirectly perpetrates the situation. We can think that psychology gives us information and knowledge about ourselves, and that information and knowledge helps us to widen. I will be expressing to all of you, yes, very good, knowledge and information does serve for widening. But incorrect knowledge and information does not serve for widening. It only serves to root us more in belief systems and perpetrating more separation. I have been telling you that the majority of psychologists don't know who we are. They don't know what consciousness is. They don't know that time is simultaneous, that we are essences, immortals, that we have hundreds or thousands of focuses here on this planet for the sole purpose of the experience. I will also say to you all that in acquiring knowledge and information beyond psychology, and this channel is the perfect way to do it, will serve you to widen your awareness and incorporate essence. We will not find a psychologist, even what we term a New Age psychologist, which is incorporating essence. There are individuals who believe themselves, in physical focus, meaning this life, to be so-called helped by psychologists. In actuality, they have helped themselves. They have been unconsciously, as you term this, in communication with essence and have acquired their answers through themselves, just as our medical doctors or our New Age healers do not heal you. They may assist, they may be helpful in directing, but we, as individuals, accomplish the healing. This also applies to psychological healing. We heal ourselves. Remember what Jesus said, "I didn't heal you, your faith healed you." We listen to our own essence. You may believe you have been helped by your psychologist, and the reason for this is that in our regional area of consciousness number 2, you have put together circumstances and situations and expressions, in connection with this other individual, which is your psychologist, to give yourself your message. You were not listening to yourself originally because you have been taught, once again, not to listen to yourself, for you may not trust yourself or your impulses. Therefore, you transfer your trust to another individual whom you deem to be a professional and very learned in this field, and then you allow yourself permission to listen to your essence's answer to you through the psychologist. You heal your own self. I am also not expressing that you should not be concerned with other individuals, or that you should be walking around your planet never thinking of another situation besides your own focus. What I am expressing is that most of us are crusading for causes, for we believe this gives us purpose and it also validates our idea of ourselves as a nice or good person, for good people help other people and express themselves with causes. These causes do not necessarily have to be national events. They may only be private interactions. They are still a cause. I am not recommending that you become insensitive. I am expressing, once again, that if you are trusting your essence and listening to your essence and following your impulses and connecting with your essence, you will be naturally expressing with all of your nice guy intentions but incorporating yourself and your essence and eliminating conflict. And each individual that begins accomplishing incorporation of essence is one less individual perpetrating conflict. Therefore, we each make a difference. We each are the center of the universe. Everything revolves around us. I am not speaking collectively. I speak about each individual. We are all the most important center, each of us, and we are all affecting everything. Psychology teaches us that our unconscious mind occupies more of us than our conscious mind, and that it sneakily manipulates us without our permission. This is quite incorrect. I explained that nothing is unconscious because everything is made of links of consciousness. Besides, there is no part of our consciousness that we may not tap that is not very present, the difference being that our waking consciousness is conditioned to be thinking in a specific direction. In this, it has taken a subservient role in some areas. In some areas, our waking consciousness asserts itself as being the controlling part of our focus or life, but only in our waking state. Underneath this waking consciousness is a looming dragon which we call the subconscious, hiding in its cave, watching all that we do and being ready to strike if we are doing anything that it believes to be in conflict with itself, or if it is feeling that it is needing to assert itself and its dominance. We are not two individuals housed in one body, fighting amongst ourselves. We are one incorporated consciousness. In dropping the belief system that we are not in control of ourselves, which we are, we may practice at opening our awareness. We may continue to be giving ourselves our permission to remember our interaction in our sleep state. In this, we must first recognize that our sleep state is no different than our waking conscious state. It is not separated by a wall, which we enter through a door and cross over to another land. It is part of our physical 24-hour day. It is also a very natural part of our consciousness. Let me also express to you that our animals dream, this being a natural state of our consciousness, this also being our part of our consciousness that we have created in allowing connection with essence. In creating this physical focus, we did not cut off a piece of our essence and send it away. This physical focus is contained within our essence. We are still connected. We are not independent of it. Therefore, we still have connection through our sleep state, this being our most fluent and frequent communication with essence. Speak to yourself, to your larger self, in entering your sleep state. You are speaking to your waking self when you are entering your sleep state presently. You are saying to yourself, I am going to dream this. Remember what I have been telling you for a year on this channel: dreams are the cradle of our reality. We can use our dreams to heal us and also to solve any issues. It is only a matter of instructing ourselves before going to sleep to do it. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to watch our next episode about philosophy.